It's also like intense when we are having a hard time and then we haven't resolved it, and it's like we have employees in the house. Mm-hmm. So they are also like experiencing this dynamic, and I don't know if how uncomfortable it's. Maybe we should one day do a podcast with them.
Just the employees and interns. What's it like work? Actually, that could be kind of fun. Yeah. What's it like working here? The good stuff. There might be one or two things. And then
when they're fighting, it's like it's intense in the house.
Mommy and Daddy are angry. Mommy and Daddy are gonna get a divorce.
So, like, I'm sure they're experiencing it, but to say that is like it becomes really difficult if we are experiencing difficulties and we have people in the house and we haven't. It's not like we go to the office and leave our relationship stuff at home. It's like, yeah.
So it also makes me have some, compassion also for people who are now all of a sudden stuck together all of the time. You and I, we have over a year and going on a year and a half, we pretty much spend all of our time together. We work together, we live together, we everything together, we run together. We didn't do all the running together, but we go on walks together, we exercise together.
Oh my God! Now we're going to even
now we go to the gym together. So there are like all these different things that we do together. We go shopping together. We go pay our rent together. Like. Literally, we pay our rent together. One person could go pay rent and come back while the other person does something else, but no, we have to go do that together.
I think we do that because it's the one time we get to go into town.
Lately, but even before.
We live in like nowhere,
but you could go pay rent and I could go do something else. Actually, we went to the bank together, and then the last time, fortunately, your cousin has an office right next to the rental agency. So the last time he said, you know what, while you go pay rent, I'm going to go see my cousin. So I actually got a 10-minute break from each other. Oh, we're just going to stop and let that soak in for a second. But so so space. So we don't give ourselves that much space. And then we have our work space. And then we also sometimes have your family members come and stay.
Yeah, like right now, my sister is staying with us, and
so now we don't even get that like evening 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. time. It's always, and there is something about having other energy in the house, and I love having a lot of people around. I really love it. I love having family, friends. It's a really good feeling, but there is another reality, which is that. Is that energy also, there are times where it flows super smoothly and everything's great. But then there are also times where there is other energy that people are in different phases. Someone's going through, like even your sister, like a lot of times when she wakes up, she's tired, right? So it's like somebody just kind of like shuffles in the morning through the living room while we're all, okay, we were already up, we've gone on our walk, we've done some yoga, we've meditated and across the living room floor. It was like, oh my God, I'm trying to stay cheery and keep my, particularly, right? I've worked until 10 o'clock at night. We've been awake. We're doing all these things. We get up early. We try and meditate, keep our rhythm going. And then and then we're like, oh my God, are you really just trying to like sink me this morning? This is like Battleship, and I just got a torpedo straight to the nose. This is over. So right, and then now we also have, and that's like your sister's here in part because we've had she's basically been quarantined in our house because she's been basically everyone's been kicked out of Nairobi because of the virus and everything, and then so we've got this sort of fortunately where we are still in Nakuru, there's as long as we all follow very strict protocol, we're in pretty good shape. We can still go into town. We pay rent. You still have to pay rent in person, but everyone's being very careful. And before you go into every place, you wash your hands. Even the other day, just as a slight side note, we had to go to the store and we had to go pay rent, and we stopped at another store along the way. To go pay rent, to walk in there, you wash your hands, and then to go into the little shopping center where the store is, you have to wash your hands going in there, and then into the store, and then there was like another sort of store right next to it that you had to go in every time. Within 45 minutes, we had washed our hands 9 times, and like my hands were starting to crack.
I know, and it has like bleach, and the water has
Bleach in the water and everything. But the positive side is that because it's been contained here very well, by closing off Nairobi and all these things, we can actually, as long as we're really careful, we actually have more ability to move freely than most people do.
Yeah, and so this morning I woke up, and when we went on our walk, and I was like, I'm feeling this overwhelmed, but there's also a part of me that feels guilty that I feel overwhelmed, because I did not grow up in a mansion. I grew up we all lived in one tiny room, so I grew up in the slums of Nairobi, and we lived in a single room. My mom, my sister, my cousins, like everyone lived in this one single room. And I remember even one time, like my grandmother came to visit with 3 or 4 other people, and so
10 people in like a 10 square foot place or 10 by 10 place.
Yeah. And now that I'm an adult and I can, I have more room and I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I was like, Cera, like, what are you doing? Like, I feel like there's a place in it where I feel like I should not be feeling like this, And then I was telling you, like, I'm going to ask myself of what I ask people who have different privileges, So my thing is like, if you have so much money and you have other resources, is like use those resources to actually become a better human being, And so I had to tell myself the same thing, is like, days are gone where I live in a single room. And now it's like I have this room, like I have this house, and it's okay to feel like the way that I'm feeling, and it's okay to acknowledge the way I'm feeling, and it's okay to also like take care of myself, and ask for what I need, because if I don't, then I'm resentful.
Right. And I think the acknowledgement is a really important thing, because I know when I look back at the way I've dealt with these types of things in the past, is I'm strong. I can handle it, or I have resources, or I have a certain amount of privilege, so therefore I shouldn't feel this way. And that's kind of bogus. Like, what I do with the feelings is another thing. Do I allow my feelings to be there and turn those into emotions, or can I just have that feeling and then say, okay, now that I recognize that I'm going to take agency, I'm going to take some power over it, and I'm going to acknowledge it, I'm going to work with it. But trying to pretend that it's not there helps nobody, because it actually puts you in a position of almost powerlessness, and then there's no also development. If I'm going to deny what's going on with me, then how do I transform it if I can't acknowledge that it's there, right? The first step of the 12-step program is acknowledge I have a problem. That's how you have to begin to shift it. And I think this morning on this walk, one of the things that was really nice was, I'm feeling this way. I'm just kind of overwhelmed. I need some space. And okay, maybe you don't get space, but by speaking that, I think it's really important. And something that you and I have talked about too, and how do we deal with this? We've gone on walks where you're having an issue or a problem or something, and I jump in and I do my thing, like, oh, I'm going to solve the problem. And you're like, no, stop that. I don't need you to solve my problem. I just want you to hear me. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that, right? And then sometimes it's we're walking, and you say, well, don't you have anything to say? Well, yeah, I was waiting for the invitation to share so that I can honor your process.